Hi everyone, welcome back to the first World Chess Championship played between Steinitz and Zukertort in the year 1886 series. After game 7, the 8th game ended in a draw and the score is still 4 to 3 wins with Zukertort leading with one extra win. Today we are going to see a very instructive positional battle in the game 9 of this match. Just a quick reminder, guys, if you have not yet subscribed to our channel, please do subscribe and also click on the bell icon so that you can get notified as soon as we come up with a new instructive video. So let us go back to the game 9 and get started with it. So Zukertort started with the move d4, to which Steinitz had prepared the same Queen's Gambit decline line d5, c4, e6, knight c3, knight f6, fairly similar stuff as compared to the earlier games in the match. Now on the fourth move, Zukertort had played e3 in his earlier game, but in the game 9, he started with knight f3 variation. So d into c4, Steinitz was ready to play the IQP structure once again. White played e3 here, c5, bishop into c4, c into d4, e into d4. Now we get this IQP structure, which is very famous, and I have explained a few things about this structure, the pros and cons, and how to handle it in the earlier episode. If you have not checked it, I would recommend you to go and check that video, understand the structure, and then come back and study this game. Okay, so ed4, black plays bishop e7, normal development, castles, queen e2, knight bd7. Okay, here there are two ways to develop this knight. Black can either go from c6, b4 to d5. This is one standard plan, playing against the IQP structure. And another idea here is knight bd7, knight b6, and then go to knight d5. Knight c6 is generally the stronger idea, but in the game, Steinitz played knight bd7, bishop b3, knight b6, and the reason behind the idea knight c6, knight b4, d5 being a stronger one is here on b6, it blocks this pawn, and the bishop is not easily coming out to this diagonal. The bishop has to come out from the d7 square, which takes slightly more time and loses a few tempos. Also, it comes in the way of other pieces like the rook on the d file. So after knight b6, bishop f4, knight goes to d5, bishop g3, queen a5, rook ac1. If you remember, in our earlier episode, Steinitz played the similar plan with queen going to a5, then getting his rooks out on the d file. So rook ac1, bishop d7, knight e5, rook f d8. And I would say Zukertort has still not learned the lesson from his earlier white game. He had to put the rooks on the d and e files. The c file is not the best for the rook on the queen side. After rook f d8, queen f3 was played. Black came back with the bishop, trying to defend this pawn so that there is no further pressure here and he can freely keep developing his pieces. Also, he made sure this knight is not getting exchanged for his bishop, which is not a strong piece for now, but in near future, the bishop is going to play its part. Rook f e1 was played, rook a c8, bishop coming to h4. Now white's idea is to take knight into d5, knight into d5, bishop into e7, knight into e7, and then this b7 pawn is hanging. So for example, let's make some random waiting move to understand this concept. a6, knight into d5, knight into d5, bishop into e7. Now knight into e7 is forced and then queen takes b7, this pawn hangs. So after bishop h4, black decided to capture knight into c3. Now this is a very committal move, guys. It is actually transposing from the IQP structure to a different kind of structure, which we will see in a few moves, because black is allowing white to take with the pawn and support this IQP in the center. But at the same time, this pawn is going to become a weakness. Let's see. After bc3, queen c7, queen d3, knight d5, bishop into e7, queen into e7, And white decided to get rid of this strong knight, bishop into d5, rook into d5, and plays c4. Now, after c4 move was introduced, we go into a different kind of pawn structure altogether. This pawn structure is called as the hanging pawn structure because there are no pawns to defend them on these adjacent files, the E and the B file, and these pawns are standing here on themselves. So in this structure, what black wants is he wants to provoke white to push one of these pawns and weaken the other color squares. For example, if white pushes this D pawn, let's say D5, then he's going to weaken the dark squares. And let's say if he pushes C5, then he's weakening the light squares. So ideally, the one who's playing with the hanging pawn structure should make sure that he maintains this structure and does not push a pawn to commit any weakness. So what he did was rook e3, queen d6, rook d1. This rook e3 idea, actually the point is after c4, white has enough weaknesses in the center. The c4 and d4, both these pawns are easy targets for black's pieces. And any attack on the king side is not going to be that dangerous because white does not have enough fuel to put in that fire on the king side. He does not have enough pieces to create a lot of dangerous threats. As we'll see in the game, after rook d1, black tried to kick the knight with f6, rook h3. Now this e5 knight can be taken, but let's see, does it really work for black? After f into e5, white can play queen into h7 check, king f8, rook f3 check. And yes, black can play bishop f7. White will play queen h5. Now, black has a couple of options here. Either he can play queen d7, rook d7, or rook c7. Queen e7 is not an option because queen h8 would be a checkmate. I'll just show it to you quickly. Queen h8 would be a checkmate. So queen e7 is not an option. Okay, if rook d7, this is also a mistake because then the rook on c8 is going to hang and this bishop being pinned cannot block the check. Another option here is rook c7, after which white will first play c5 trying to attack the queen. Queen goes to d5, queen h8 check, king d7, queen h4. And this king cannot run here because the bishop is hanging. The king has to go back and then you can just repeat the moves as white. And white gets a perpetual check, repetition, and could have drawn the game. So black sees some potential in his position and rejects that draw variation, and Steinitz wants to play for a win here. He plays h6. Now after h6, white needs to save this knight as there is no queen h7 threat anymore. So white played knight g4, having a few potential ideas of sacrificing the knight here and then trying to create something on the king side, which is not that dangerous because the second rank is open. Generally, when the second rank is open for the rooks and the queens, the major pieces basically, it's a very strong defense and it is not easily breakable. After knight g4, black just played queen f4, putting more pressure, centralizing the queen, improving the queen, knight e3, bishop a4, rook f3, queen d6. Now he has to keep protecting the d4 pawn. So rook d2 was forced, bishop coming back to c6, rook g3. Now I would want you guys to pause here and find the correct plan for black, correct idea. It's not a tactical shot, but the point here is all these pieces are perfectly placed for black and they are putting immense pressure on white's center and the whole position. But black is not breaking through with all this. He needs to go that extra mile, one extra thread to go to the next level and actually convert his advantage into a winning advantage. So you can think here, how should black actually continue and take his advantage to the next level? Black played f5, a brilliant idea. So once your pieces are at their optimum positions, you have two options. Either regroup your pieces, try to find some better places for your pieces, and another option is you should try to change the pawn structure and put more pressure on your opponent's position. In this case, Steinitz saw this idea of pushing the pawn and creating pressure on white's pieces and he played f5. The idea here is black wants to just do a simple double attack. At the same time, black is also controlling the e4 square where the bishop can land and harass the queen. And at the same time, this rook, which had come from this e1 spot, is not feeling too comfortable here. It might well get blocked. White here played rook g6, which turned out to be a mistake because after bishop e4, queen had to be saved. Queen went to b3. Here, black has an idea to play f4, discovering an attack on the rook and attacking the knight at the same time. So I would want you to pause here and check whether f4 is the winning move here or should you play something else. Okay, guys, king h7 is the precise winning move here. I will explain you the reason, because f4, if you play directly, there is this c5 move. Now, this queen is attacked and the queen cannot go to d5 square. Let's say the queen goes to d7, steps back. White can simply take rook into e6. Now, the idea is the bishop is hanging and there is a discovered check here. You don't have time to capture this knight. Therefore, what black decided to do is first play king h7, step out of this diagonal, and at the same time gain a tempo on this rook. After king h7, the rook needs to be saved. Here, white desperately played c5, counterattacking the queen, after which black looks at this pin and says, okay, why can't I simply take your pawn? Rook into c5, rook into e6 was played, after which rook c1 check. Knight had to step back. Queen went to f4, attacking the rook, and after queen b2 is just a few more moves and white will have to resign because rook b1 attacking the queen. Now the queen has to keep protecting the rook on d2, so queen c3 was played. There comes another interesting move. If you remember from our previous episodes, you might find this move and can relate it to a very specific concept. When you have initiative, you should not just keep attacking with your existing pieces in the attack. In fact, you should try to introduce newer pieces and put more fuel into that attack. So black plays rook c8, introduction of a new piece into the attack. Now white cannot capture this. If it does, queen into d2, and this king here looks pretty safe. There is no check here whatsoever, and the knight is hanging. The back rank issue is going to tell the story. So he played rook into e4, which was another desperate move. Queen into e4. Now there are a lot of threats. This is hanging. Queen e1 is a mate threatened. If he plays something like queen e3, already white has sacrificed an exchange, so black might even think about just taking it, and rook c1, after which this knight is pinned and cannot be defended. So with this win, finally Steinitz caught Zukertort and leveled the score in the match for the first time. From this point onwards, the match is going to become extremely tough and completely even, with both the players sitting on the same score and fighting for their first world championship title. If you have found this video instructive, do like the video, subscribe to our channel, and do not forget to click the bell icon to get notified as soon as we come up with another instructive video for you. Thanks a lot, guys, for watching. See you soon.